Hi everybody, Mr. Francy here and welcome back to the channel. It's time for another weekly vlog. Well, let's jump right on in. If you're new to the channel, I usually have 3 categories that I look over in my weekly vlogs. The first is a life update. The second is currently watching TV shows, movies, that type of thing. And then we wrap things up with my reading. This reading vlog is going to cover the end of April and the beginning of May. So it'll be from the 29th of April 2024 through to the 5th of May 2024. All right, so let's start off with a life update. Yeah, look, things have been interesting to say the very least, given what happened last week. If you weren't aware of what happened last week, go back and watch the last vlog. But yeah, given all that, things have been, quite obviously different this week and taken some time to get used to. The one good thing is it's left me a whole, abundance of time to do different things, which I really do appreciate. And yeah, we're just going to try and proceed forward, moving day after day. As far as any other life updates, I don't know if I can think of anything else right now. So let's just move right on into TV, because I have a lot to discuss with TV and with watching and reading. So we'll just jump into the watching section of this weekly vlog. What have I been watching? Well, we're going to open up discussing for the last time Murder, She Wrote, starring Angela Lansbury as Jessica Fletcher. I had a goal to finish season 6 by the end of April, and by so doing consider myself done with the series, because the streaming service I was watching it on only went up to season 6. I accomplished this and I'm glad to put it to bed. Not to say that overall I didn't enjoy the series. I did. I especially loved the majority of the first 5 seasons. Season 6 just did not work for me because Angela Lansbury is hardly in quite a number of the episodes in season 6, which really did annoy me. But so yeah, I mean, I guess that was a good motivation to be happy to be done with it. But the first 5 seasons and the episodes in season 6 that did predominantly have Angela Lansbury in them, I did really enjoy. There was one episode here or there that I didn't like, one episode here or there that, I'd found rather boring. But on the whole, it's definitely a 5-star series if I'm looking from season 1 to season 5. If I'm looking from season 1 to season 6, I'd probably take it down to 3 stars, purely because I feel that there is a 2-star deduction that I personally would give based on my experience with season 6. I just really did not enjoy it. And if you love Jessica Fletcher, and that is the reason predominantly why you watch Murder, She Wrote, I would highly recommend skipping season 6 and moving on to whatever comes next, because it was just really, not an amazing season, unfortunately, due to many and varying different reasons. But all in all, I'm happy to put the show to bed. I had been advised about Murder, She Wrote as well as Golden Girls when not too long after I first started on my channel, and I'm glad that I finally got to watch as much as I did of Murder, She Wrote. I think I'm just about done with Golden Girls, but anyway, I want to give a big shout out to Tiffany from the Beach Bum Bookworm, who highly recommended both of those shows to me, Murder, She Wrote and Golden Girls. As I say, overall, I loved Murder, She Wrote. Sans season 6, it was a 5-star series for me. And Golden Girls I absolutely loved, of course, as well. So now that I've put that to bed, I can move on to different things. And we're going to start by talking about a movie that I cannot believe, given who I am and who is in this movie, and my thoughts about this person in this movie, that I had never seen this movie before. I am thrilled I finally have, and it's going to go down as one of my absolute all-time favorites. The movie is called Victoria, and it stars Dame Julie Andrews. Now, I've been a huge fan of Dame Julie Andrews for, well, as long as I can remember. I've seen her, if we want to talk about films, I've seen her in Sound of Music, I've seen her in Mary Poppins, I've seen her in Princess Diaries 1 and Princess Diaries 2. I've seen her do lots of interviews. She's written amazing books with her daughter. She's sung amazingly, not only in movies, but also on stage. I just think she's just an absolutely remarkable human being. I idolize her a lot, and I might sound like I'm fangirling here, but I feel like it's a lot more than that for me. So, you know, everyone has their celebrity that the day they pass away will be a dark day for them. And for me, I've always said and will always maintain that will be the day we lose Dame Julie Andrews, which I hope doesn't happen for a very long time, because I don't think anyone can replace Dame Julie Andrews. I grew up really liking Mary Poppins. I grew up absolutely loving The Sound of Music, and so wanted to watch more things that Julie had done, and one film that was recommended to me was Victor Victoria. Well, as I was saying a little earlier on, this film was so fantastic. I was so nervous going in, thinking, if this is horrible, is it going to impact the way I see Julie Andrews as an actor? And no, not at all. I argue to anyone who loves Julie as much as I do and have seen Mary Poppins, Sound of Music, and Victor Victoria, I argue that Victor Victoria is the best of the three. And seriously, I did not think I would say that. Mary Poppins is done so well. The Sound of Music is done so well. And yet, I feel like Victor Victoria is even better. So let me know your thoughts on that if you've seen all three movies, which one's your favourite, and if you think Victor Victoria is up there. A very quick premise of this movie is that Julie plays a character who is trying to audition to be a part of something. She's a singer. She gets rejected. Someone who was observing her audition sees her later that night at a restaurant and takes her back to his place. He is gay. They form a great friendship, and she decides to stay the night with him, knowing nothing's going to happen because he is gay. When she wakes up the following morning, knowing that her clothing was ruined because it was raining that night on the way to his place, she needs replacement clothes to go home in, and he tells her there is a suit his friend left in his cupboard. She dresses in the suit, and the moment she's dressed in the suit, this friend arrives at the house, so she hides in the cupboard. When the friend goes to the cupboard, before the friend goes to the cupboard, he confronts this gay character guy and is really rude to him. When he opens the cupboard, Julie Andrews, dressed in this suit, punches him and then grabs him and says, "What the hell do you think you're doing? Get out of here!" and throws him out the house. And the gay guy says to Julie, "This is it. This is how you'll make your money. We will pretend that you are a guy pretending to be a woman, pretending to be a drag queen." And that is the premise for the entirety of the rest of the movie. I don't want to spoil anything else. And for anyone who thinks Julie Andrews cannot pull off being a guy masquerading as a drag queen, and masquerading as a guy who is masquerading as a drag queen, oh my gosh, watch this movie, you will be corrected. It is so well done. I highly praise it. An absolutely overwhelming 5 stars for that film. I wish I could give it more. Alright, let's talk about the next thing. So, not too long ago, I watched this, I watched a season and a half, because Netflix doesn't have the rest. If you know why, please let me know in the comments section below, and if you know where I can find the rest, please let me know in the comments section below too. But I watched the first 15, there's meant to be 20, episodes, a season and a half, of this fantastic show, Kakegurui. Now, Kakegurui is I believe it's Japanese. Yes, it is. It's a Japanese show that revolves around these characters who go to an academy, but the way the academy thinks about rating its students is through gambling, because they believe that the life lessons the students will learn from gambling is going to help them once they graduate from the school. There is a hierarchy when it comes to these students that the teachers are all aware of and allowed to happen. The hierarchy is seen over by the High Student Council, and so if you are ranked outside the top 100, it is because, in short, you're not a good gambler and you've attained quite a large amount of debt, and you are then referred to as an animal. For the girls, it would be you're referred to as a kitty. For a boy, you'd be referred to as a doggy, and you would be treated as a pet until you move up again in the rankings. We have this new girl that comes in, and she doesn't start off doing so well, but then ends up doing really well, and it was just really wonderful. If you love these Asian thriller type things that have games in them, you will love this. Not as scary as, say, something like Squid Game, but if you love the games aspect of Squid Game, you will love this, so I recommend it to you. I then found a prequel, and the prequel is called Kakegurui Twin. And I completed that this week, and I was really, really happy that I did. I loved both shows, Kakegurui and Kakegurui Twin. But I have to say, Kakegurui Twin was filmed second, but comes first in the timeline. It was filmed second as a prequel, and I actually prefer Kakegurui Twin, which says a lot because I loved Kakegurui. Again, if you know of anywhere where I can find Kakegurui Season 2, Episodes 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, please let me know. But yeah, Kakegurui Twin was extremely satisfying from the moment it began to the moment it ended. Shout out to all of the wonderful actors who played their roles in both Kakegurui and Kakegurui Twin. They played them incredibly well. I was so enticed all the way through, and it was a lot of fun. So if you're someone who loves Squid Game or anything to do with games that come up in movies that will ultimately affect something to do with the life of a person, I highly, highly recommend watching Kakegurui and Kakegurui Twin. Alright, after I finished Kakegurui Twin, I decided to go back to Seventh Heaven. I had watched the first 3 episodes coming into this week, and I finished Kakegurui Twin a couple of nights ago, so last night I finally resumed Seventh Heaven and watched Season 1, Episode 4. My goal now is to predominantly focus on Seventh Heaven until I complete the first season. I will only be watching the first 4 seasons because in Season 5, the character of Mary Camden takes a massive dive for reasons to do with things that occurred outside of the show with the actress Jessica Biel, and it just is too heartbreaking for me to watch. And then for me, as much as I loved Beverly Mitchell, who plays Lucy, her character throughout the entire series, the series was never the same again for me after Jessica Biel, playing the character of Mary Camden, left. So Mary left the home, Jessica Biel leaving the show. Everything was just very different after that for me because, when you're splitting up the family by taking a member away, it's not the same, especially when each member of that family has the role that they fulfill, and that's what makes this fabulous unit of a family that is Seventh Heaven. So I'm going to watch the first 4 seasons and that's it. So moving forward with my watching, the plan is to completely prioritize with Seventh Heaven, get through to the end of Season 1, and then at the conclusion of Season 1, I am going to watch Alice in Borderland Season 1, because I need to watch some more Asian film, show, game thing. I just know I need to. And so I'm going to be really excited to do that. Season 3 has been announced for Alice in Borderland, so I'm practically going to alternate. I'm going to watch Season 1 of Seventh Heaven, then Season 1 of Alice in Borderland, then Season 2 of Seventh Heaven, then Season 2 of Alice in Borderland, and hopefully by that time, or close to that time, Season 3 will nearly be available. And then obviously I'll go back to Season 3 of Seventh Heaven, then I'll watch Season 4 of Seventh Heaven, and then I'm planning on starting Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I have only watched this series all the way through once, and I've decided it's going to be my next full-on binge, and I'm very, very excited to finally get back to the world of Buffy, especially in Season 1, where my favourite character, Angel, whose actor's name is David Boreanaz, will be back in there. I miss watching David Boreanaz in Buffy. I miss watching David Boreanaz in Angel, actually, the spin-off show. Yeah, really, really looking forward to getting back into the Buffy world and seeing how I go with that. Not to mention that on the 18th of May 2024, RuPaul's Drag Race All-Star Season 9 will commence, and I'm looking forward to that as well. So that has you updated with everything I'm watching. Oh, actually, there's one more thing. I want to just quickly put it in there. I started watching some old Australian television game shows because, after watching all these Asian movies with games in them, I just went on this game show binge, and I was, whether it was kids doing their little game show for kid thing or adult game shows or whatever, it was great. And I found all these clips on YouTube that had these old shows, all these, like, whatever it was, whether it was a quiz show or a physical show or whatever it was, something to do with one game or another, kids, adults, whatever it was. So much fun. The one I want to mention is what I watched for the last couple of nights and really am getting back into, and that is a show called Minute to Win It. I love this show. I first saw it when it first came to Australia, and then I found out that it was huge in America, and so I ended up watching some of the American one as well back in the day, and now they have a lot of these episodes up on YouTube, so I've been watching Minute to Win It. And for those of you who don't know the premise of this show, basically contestants come on trying to vie for a certain amount of money, which seems to change version to version. So we'll just say they're trying to earn a certain amount of money. The way to do that is to pass all these different levels to get there. In each level, they'll be given a challenge that includes using household items to achieve something in no more than 60 seconds, which is why it's called Minute to Win It. Yeah, and just a whole lot of fun. Just really enjoyed Minute to Win It, so just want to shout them out there as well. All right, let's jump over to my reading because there is a lot to discuss when it comes to my reading. So we're going to start with the first book that I read this week, which you would have seen as the final book I put in my monthly wrap, for April, but as I did read it this week, because June closed out at the beginning of the week and May started in the second part of the week. But anyway, I'm including the book here because I didn't do a reading vlog on the book. So that was Frozen Detective by Amanda Flower, which is book number 2 in the Piper and Porter Cozy Mystery Series. It's an adult cozy mystery series by Amanda Flower, my favorite cozy mystery author. I ended up giving this book a total of 5 stars, and I love this duology. Unfortunately, there were only 2 books. I have joined a number of cozy mystery groups over on Facebook and been putting out some questions, which has been great. If any of you are part of any of these groups that I've been asking questions on, thank you so much. I have been having a blast putting these questions out there and getting all these answers that I don't know questions of. But yeah, one of the questions I had was, why are there only 2 books in the Piper and Porter mystery series? And the best answer that I was given was because the publisher of this series is actually Hallmark, and Hallmark, I think they either went out of business or they stopped publishing or something like that, is what people are saying. So I guess that's fair if that's the reason. I mean, if the publishing company is no longer there, what can you do? And I assume no other publishing company wanted to pick this up. I am rather saddened about that though, because the series is fantastic. I gave both book 1 and book 2 5 stars. It's a cozy mystery, despite the fact that our protagonist is a private eye, which may have some considering that it's not a cozy mystery because it's a private eye. But aside from the fact that we follow a private eye, everything else is extremely cozy about it. So it is undeniably a cozy mystery. It's just we don't follow an amateur sleuth in the series. But yeah, I absolutely loved both books and just wish there could be more. I mean, come on, Kensington and whoever else Amanda Flower publishes through. Like, come on, let's just pick up Piper and Porter and keep going. Is it just me? Let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see more Piper and Porter. And if you haven't read the Piper and Porter series, but you love Amanda Flower, I highly recommend the series. Yeah, absolutely loved book 2. I'll just quickly give you my thoughts of book 2. I won't spoil the premise. Yeah, look, you know, I just was quite sad when I finished the second book, considering that it was now over. As I say, I love the series as a whole and really wish we could have had many more books in the series. As for Frozen Detective, I loved the premise and enjoyed spending time with Darby, who is the protagonist, and Tate, who is the supporting character, at the lodge. We also meet this large dog in the second book, comically named Tiny, who I loved. I called 2 things in the book, which doesn't happen often, so I count that as a win. All in all, it was a good book, just sad that the series is not continuing, especially given how we were very clearly set up for book number 3. In saying that, truly honoured to read another fantastic cozy mystery series by my favorite author. 5 stars. Yeah, that's one thing that I did forget, and I'm glad I reread that review that I put up on Goodreads there. The conclusion of book 2 definitely sets us up for not only sets us up for book 3, but set us up in a very exciting way for book 3, that we were going to do something very, very much that I was looking forward to, and then there was no book 3. So we just have to imagine what would have happened in book 3. But 5 stars for Frozen Detective, and my golly, if any publishing company decides to pick up the Piper and Porter series and continue on with it, I would be so happy. It'd make my day. Let's move forward. The next book that I read was the first book that I read in the month of May, and let's just say that the remainder of this entire week has been filled with me being located in a certain area, an area that I absolutely love, Zodiac Academyville. The second book that I read this week, the first book that I read in the month of May, was this book, The Big A.S.S. Party by Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti. This is book number 5.5 in the Zodiac Academy series, which I am referring to as an adult fantasy series, with a ton of spice. Like, put the spice meter up to 1,000,000 because there's a lot of spice. As long as you're fine with that, it's an amazing series that I liken to the adult version of Harry Potter. Adult version mainly because of the spice level. But other than that, it gives me Harry Potter vibes. It's not the same. It's elemental magic as opposed to witchcraft and wizardry, but it's set at a school. And the whole time we're at the school, which I love because I read a series a couple of years ago. I won't name names, but I read a series a couple of years ago that I loved the school. We had this magical being who didn't know they were magical, went to a school just like Harry Potter does, just like the characters do in this series. And in book 1, we get them at the school. Book 2, they were hardly at the school. Book 3, they were hardly at the school again. I'm going, no. One of my favorite tropes of all time is fantasy, where we have a character that doesn't know they have abilities that goes to a school to learn about these abilities. And in Zodiac Academy, it is called Zodiac Academy for a reason. We are predominantly at the school. I love it so much. So yeah, not going to say too much about this book because it will be considered a spoiler because we're already at book 5.5. But basically with this one, 2 side characters. So in the main books in the Zodiac Academy series, we have they're multi-perspective. So what I mean by that is we have different chapters that will have different names of different characters, and in those chapters we read from their perspective, which is great because we have some heirs and we have our main characters who are the twins, the heirs, 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 are all guys, and we kind of go back and forth between them. One of the heirs that we don't hear a lot from, who's in fact my favourite heir, if you've read the series, you know this one, my favourite character, Max, ends up being in this novella, which is a dual perspective. There's only 2 perspectives in the novella. The other perspective really upset me. So I went from, oh yay, it's Max, yay, to, oh, could it have been anyone but this other person? And that is, if you know the series, Geraldine. Now, Geraldine is absolutely fine. You know, she's very supportive of the protagonist in the series, which is wonderful, but she overdoes everything. Which, you know, during the main books in the series, which they're very long, they're at least 500 pages, if not considerably longer as you go through, you may have Geraldine saying 5 quotes in the entire book, where in this one, Zodiac Academy, the Big A.S.S. Party, she has a whole half of the book dedicated to her. Every first chapter is a Geraldine perspective, and every second chapter is a Max perspective. I listened to this on audiobook, and I was not happy when I heard Geraldine had a perspective in the first chapter, and when I determined Geraldine would be in every first chapter moving forward. By the time I got to the end of the first chapter, I wanted to stop the audiobook because her over-the-topness was really getting to me. Once I got finally to chapter 2 and realized it was Max in chapter 2, I was very happy. But every time we went to Geraldine, oh my goodness, she's just very... I don't know how to describe it, but she's wearing the top like, oh my lord, sweet biscuit on a summer's day, we need to blah, 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 blah. And it's like, oh my gosh, shush, please, shush. And her energy is at 100 the whole time. She doesn't calm down at all, and it just grated me. But anyway, the book overall, I ended up giving 5 stars too, because I wanted to rate it based on if I was physically reading it as opposed to listening to the audiobook. Had I been physically reading it, I would have given it 5 stars. So yeah, it was all in all a good novella. It's just that the audiobook narrators for this series, who I love, which I need to shout them out. I think their names are, yes, Jake and Bridget Bordeaux on Audible. I love them. They're both amazing at what they do. It's just Bridget is almost too good at playing the role of Geraldine, and if you've heard her do the perspective of Geraldine on Audible, you will know what I mean. It just grates me a lot. But anyway, I got through the book. I loved it. I loved what it set up moving forward, particularly between Max and Geraldine, and then I moved on to the very next book that I read. But for the big A.S.S. party, I gave that book 5.5 in the series, 5 stars. So now we're going to talk about the current book that I'm reading, which is this book, Zodiac Academy Fated Throne, which is book number 6 in the series, and I am nearly done. This is a good 600 and something odd page book. It is 656 pages, and I'm about 450 or something pages in. I will have this book completed by tomorrow. I just didn't have it completed by now, by the time we're doing this weekly vlog. But just quickly to give you some non-spoiler thoughts and feelings, I am absolutely loving being back in the main books in the series, because Geraldine has had one perspective this whole time, and that perspective was maybe for about 2-3 minutes, which was fine. I can handle that. But the rest of the time, while we observed Geraldine, we did not get her perspective, so I was happy about that. But oh my gosh, I love this world so much. If you've been with me all year and heard me talking about Zodiac Academy, you'll know just how much I love this series. I know that I will physically ache when I am up to date with the series and have to wait for the next one. I keep wondering one day, you know, how I'm going to feel if something happens that incredibly lets me down in the series. But then, as I'm continuing through this book, I'm thinking to myself, but it hasn't happened yet, and I have no reason to think that it will. And I'm already, you know, nearly done with book 6, and everything's just been so amazing. So, high credit and praise to Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valenti. Provided nothing upsets me between now and the end, this book, Fated Throne, will also receive 5 stars. Let's quickly look ahead and see what I'm planning on reading for the upcoming week. So, obviously, tomorrow my plan is to finish off Fated Throne. Then I'm going to begin my first sci-fi book, let alone series, in quite some time. Go back and check out my May TBR, where I tell you exactly how long it's been since I last read a sci-fi, which is this book, Renegades by Marissa Meyer, which is book number 1 in the Renegades trilogy. So that will take me up to the weekend, and then I'm going to read this book, King's Cage by Victoria Aveyard, which is the 3rd book in the, I'm trying to remember, the Red Queen, I had to remember the series name, the Red Queen series. I will start this one, but as I have said in reading vlogs and monthly wraps, and even my Mate TBR, I do not promise to complete that book. I do not promise to complete King's Cage. I'm going to give it a go. If it does what I want it to do, in other words, stay exactly in the area where the dystopian is and not go somewhere else, which, what is the point of a dystopian if we're going away from the dystopian before we're even at the halfway mark of the book? But anyway, big shout out to Pat. Thank you, Pat, for all your lovely comments. Pat, you went through some dystopians that they've read and agreed with me that, yeah, every single YA, they seem to go on a traveling/questing trope away from the dystopian area. But yeah, we'll see what happens in this one. If that doesn't happen, then yay, I will get through it. If it does, that they leave the area again, then I will gladly DNF. Alright, as far as watching is concerned, obviously I'm primarily focusing on 7th Heaven for the majority of the week. I don't know how long it's going to take me to get to the end of season 1, but that will be my predominant goal, getting through 7th Heaven. Alright, I'm going to leave that there and let you all go with peace, blessings, and so much love. How was your month how was your end to April and your beginning to May, is what I'm trying to say. Let me know in the comment section below, but in the meantime, that is where I am going to leave it, letting you all go with peace, blessings, and so much love. Please do be kind and love one another, and spread your sparkling energy all throughout the world, and until next time, happy reading! Bye everyone!